What do you think?
I think you can find all three among ordinary Iranians. Those who are a bit nervous, those who think that if the United States strikes Iran, Iran has the ability to hit it back hard and end this once and for all, and those who are getting on with their lives who don't really think anything is going to happen. But one thing I think is quite clear, and that is that people are rallying behind the armed forces, and they see Trump as a troublemaker and as a supporter of genocide and as someone who's completely unreasonable. He has not made it easy for himself with this sort of behavior. He has united Iranians because all Iranians know that his demands, the demands of Trump, are completely unreasonable, and that the United States is a regime that invades countries that have weak armies and weak armed forces. So I think in general, it's quite clear that people will fight back if there's battle. But I think most believe that there won't be a war. I think that is highly unlikely because if there's going to be war, the Americans are going to have to bring in well over 1 million soldiers, and they're going to have to bring their Navy and their Air Force from across the world. This is not the United States of the 1990s. They don't have that financial capability, and their rivals, including not just Iran, but Russia and China, they are much stronger today than they were 20, 30 years ago. The United States, we see what's going on with the stock markets and the trade war. It's just a very different world. And U.S. client regimes in the Persian Gulf, they know quite well that if there's a war between Iran and the United States, that their regimes will crumble, some within hours and most within days, and the global oil and gas markets will simply go through the roof and the global economy would collapse. So it's difficult to imagine a war. There could be airstrikes, but even those would be difficult because I find it highly unlikely that the Americans will use Turkish airspace, even though Turkey has worked alongside the Israelis and the Americans during these years. But that's highly unlikely. Iraq, if anything happens there, there would be rebellion. And in the Persian Gulf, these countries would face the consequences. All the Americans could do would be to send a few B-2s or B-52s from Diego Garcia, and that would be roughly 5,000 kilometers. The flight would be about 5,000 kilometers to get to some place like Esfahan. And that would make them very vulnerable, and a few airplanes that are vulnerable really can't do the sort of damage that the Americans want them to do. We've already seen how in Yemen they failed. They've been unable to damage the underground missile sites and drone sites in Yemen. All they've done is destroy civilian infrastructure, homes. They've murdered people. They've brought down apartment buildings, and they've destroyed water installations for the general public. But they've been unable to deter the Yemeni armed forces, which are heroically fighting back. So if they cannot win in Yemen, I find it completely impossible for them to win against Iran.
It does, though, potentially lower the nuclear bar, doesn't it? Your friend and mine, although we have disagreements with him nowadays, Scott Ritter, he actually named two essentially dirty bombs that the United States had tailored precisely for the purpose of busting the Iranian bunkers. Do you worry about that?
Not really, George. The world is already turning against the United States and the West in general because of Gaza. The world is turning against the United States because of the trade war. Nuclear weapons would change the situation completely across the globe. But also, Dr. Larijani, who is a senior advisor to the leader and who used to be the Speaker of Parliament and who was also once the head of the Supreme National Security Council, he came on television a few nights ago and said that if the United States attacks Iran's peaceful nuclear program, Iran will produce a nuclear weapon. And this is the first time anyone has said that openly and clearly. But he also said something that didn't get noticed, and that was that he said that if the Americans struck the Iranian program, it would not set it back. In other words, he was implying that the Iranians would be able to, even with an American strike, they would be able to build nuclear weapons. And since the Iranians are highly advanced technologically